Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Johanna Chan. Here's a look at tonight's top stories. Island Line services return to normal after door-vanishing scare, with railway firm saying its trains are safe. A sailor arriving from Japan is one of 3 imported COVID cases as mobile vaccination van begins service. And China tries to contain Delta outbreak in the north while developing a vaccine for Omicron variant. The MTR Corporation has emphasized that its trains are safe after a pair of carriage doors flew off last night. The railway operator also revealed that a loose billboard which struck the doors was replaced only last week. Raymond Young reports.
While services on the MTR's Island Line returned to normal this morning, something was noticeably missing in Causeway Bay Station. A billboard which was blamed for the rare accident has been stripped bare. Emergency repairs were carried out after part of the advertising panel was dislodged during the evening rush yesterday and struck a pair of carriage doors on a moving train, causing them to fly off. Ridiculous, this passenger called the accident, adding he couldn't remember the last time something like this happened. While another commuter said he would continue riding on the MTR since it's generally safe. The railway firm's operating chief, Sammy Wong, shot down any possibility of defective train doors. Giving updates on radio this morning, he said mechanics are still investigating how a component at the bottom of the billboard became loose. Wong also revealed for the first time that a contractor had replaced the advertisement last Thursday. Engineer Henry Cheung, who chairs the Association of Hong Kong Railway Transport Professionals, suspected the accident was caused by human error. If certain components were not properly installed, he said, they may dislodge amid vibrations caused by passing trains. The MTR said the component in question has been removed from 7 other similar billboards in Causeway Bay, Admiralty, Tsim Sha Tsui and Mong Kok stations. A report will be submitted to the government once investigations are completed. Raymond Yang, HKIBC.
Hong Kong has imposed stricter quarantine rules for arrivals from Singapore and Iceland after Omicron cases were reported in these countries. This comes as health authorities deployed a mobile vaccination station, and a seaman was among 3 imported COVID cases today. A group of mainly elderly people crowded outside Sun Trui Estate in Tai Wai early this morning for BioNTech shots. The wait frustrated some, but they remained in line to get vaccinated in the mobile station, which went into service for the first time today. Up to 3 people can get shots at the same time. After that, they must sit down and be observed for 15 to 30 minutes. Those unsure about their health were given consultations on the spot. This woman said she wanted to be inoculated because the van was parked close to her home today and it's getting hard to eat out or shop without being vaccinated. The mobile station will stay in Sun Trui Estate until 5 p.m. tomorrow, before going to Kwun Tong, Kwai Ting and Tuen Mun in the coming week. Civil Service Secretary Patrick Nip, who heads the program, said 180,000 people have already got their 3rd jabs, while 4.7 million, or 70% of the population, have received 1 shot. Nip said the vaccination drive is aimed at keeping cases at near 0, rather than meeting the requirements for a border reopening. Hong Kong has had no locally transmitted infection for 56 days. There were 3 imported cases today, all with the L452R variant. One was a crew member of the cargo vessel Glory Sky, which arrived from Japan on Wednesday. He was sent to hospital. Around 20 other crew members will be quarantined on the ship. None of them had come ashore. China is racing to develop a vaccine against the Omicron variant. This comes as authorities try to contain a Delta outbreak in the north. Sarah Wang reports.
As the Omicron variant upended global reopening plans, China is battling a Delta resurgence along its northern border. There were 80 new local cases yesterday, up from 53 on Wednesday. 56 infections in the city of Hulunbuir pushed the tally in the latest cluster in Inner Mongolia past 240. Most of the cases were concentrated in Manzhouli, a city bordering Russia. Its 212,000 residents have undergone their 6th mass testing since the recent flare-up. Strict movement curbs were also imposed, grounding public transport to a halt. The stringent measures didn't stop the outbreak from spilling over to neighboring Heilongjiang province, with 10 cases found in Harbin. But authorities maintain that China's zero-COVID strategy has shielded the population from the Omicron variant, which is said to pose a very high global risk. Mainland pharmaceutical companies are racing to produce a new vaccine specifically targeted for the highly mutated strain. National Health Commission official Zheng Zhongwei said China has already developed jabs that can offer protection against Delta. The developments come as Beijing enters the final stretch going into the Winter Olympics scheduled for February. International travel bans and calls for a boycott have added obstacles to the event that has already been delayed for a year. Sarah Wang, HKIBC.
Locally, the brother of late cantopop icon Anita has filed a trademark infringement lawsuit against a biopic currently screened in cinemas. In a High Court writ, Peter Mui is also seeking unspecified damages from movie production company Edco Films. The elder brother of the Mui siblings said his sister's Chinese and English names are registered as trademarks and carry significant business value. He argued that the names belong to Anita Mui Memorial Company, which was set up in 2004, 1 year after the singer died from cervical cancer. Security Chief Tris Tang has thrown his weight behind the controversial decision to put down wild boars spotted in urban areas. He also criticized an online news site, saying it demonized the Correctional Services Department. What was meant to be a press conference this afternoon to update crime statistics turned into a 40-minute defense of government departments. Security Chief Chris Tang lashed out at online website Stand News for a report on the Tai Tam Gap Correctional Institution. The report said detainees felt like lab rats, while smart bracelets and other measures may be in breach of human rights and privacy. Tang hit back today and accused Stand News of demonizing the correctional services, which he said has done everything to manage the institution well.
I think what we are doing is trying to facilitate the living of the detainee inside the institution. And I think everything is in compliance with the laws of Hong Kong.
Stand News shot back, saying it had asked the department for comment, and its statement was included in the article. On another issue, Tang said his bureau had no say in the decision of the Agricultural, Fisheries and Conservation Department to put down wild boars. But he supported the move, noting a rise in attacks on people this year. Looking ahead to the Legislative Council elections, Tang said police will be on standby near polling stations in case of lone wolf acts. 2 barbecue sites in Meifu have shut down after being charged for operating without a license. One of them in Kawaking was shuttered and its signboard covered. A notice said the restaurant is adhering to COVID measures and will not reopen for days. 2 employees were earlier sentenced to 4 months in jail, suspended for 2 years, and fined $40,000. The court issued an arrest warrant for the owners, who did not show up for the hearing. Beijing's top official in Macau has been assigned an extra role. Macau Liaison Office Director Fu Ziying will double as advisor on the national security affairs to the casino hub's government. His appointment was part of an expansion of the Committee for Safeguarding National Security, which was set up in 2018. In addition, there are 3 national security technical advisors, who also come from the ranks of the liaison office. Macau has enacted national security legislation since 2009, but unlike Hong Kong, it has never been invoked. Overseas, relief agencies have stepped up efforts to warn the world that Afghanistan is hurtling into tragedy unless the war-torn country receives urgent aid.
We know that the root causes go back a long way, decades of conflict, long cases of cyclical natural disasters, especially droughts. Then you have the two really big triggers in 2021 since August, and that is the banking crisis, which has prevented people from receiving salaries, and the ending of financing for the health services, which has brought many of the health services in Afghanistan to a close. Now it's the converging of all those factors that is creating a major humanitarian crisis, which is progressively getting worse.
The sharp rise in the number of malnourished children suffering in poorly equipped hospitals bear testimony to Afghanistan's plight. Funding and credit were cut off after U.S.-led troops withdrew in August as the hardline Taliban swept back into power. With a harsh winter round the corner, 15 million Afghans are already suffering from acute hunger. Many people in the capital, Kabul, depend on the food handouts to survive. And coming up after the break, U.S. President Joe Biden comes under fire for bringing back a migrant policy initiated by Donald Trump.